George, do you want to be the one to climb in here and get some inside swabs?
Yeah, I'd love to.
I got some yeast. Oh. Holy shit, you dead? What we're doing down here in these old lagering cellars is hunting for wild yeast. Hopefully some domesticated yeast as well.
What's behind me is a tank that would have been used for fermentation back in the 19th century. We found quite a number of these cellars, even ones that have been sealed off like this one was for a while. But what we've never seen in the past is an intact fermentation tank. The closest thing that I've seen to this before is this building on 15th and Race where there's just like mounds of rotten crap.
Something that we like to do is catch a lot of wild yeast and grow it up and use it to ferment things in-house. So we had the idea of, well, why don't we get down here and try to see if we can find some stuff that hasn't been used for brewing for 100 years or more. And yeah, make some beer.
We're standing in a space that was originally part of the Linck brewery. They built these lagering cellars in 1855. Then it was kind of forgotten. I'd been in this building multiple times in the 2000s, and nobody knew at that period of time that these cellars existed. If you swab the back wall of this, you're probably the first person to touch it in 100 years.
Sweet. Oh, we definitely got to come back here to get some swabs. We can take a couple pieces of these up to those other guys and get some swabs off of them. We might catch something. So in about 3 months, we'll get all the jars, we'll line them all out, we'll get some pipettes, and we'll get ready to start smelling and tasting. Hopefully we get something good out of this. Make some good beer.
And so none of these have been opened yet. Nobody's tasted any of this.
We didn't taste any of them, but some of the ones I felt pressure building in earlier in the, like right after we did it, I expressed the pressure, but that's about it. That smells kind of like an abscess to me. Oh! Yeah. That's not even worth trying. I think it's a little fecal. 173.
Sounds fucking delicious.
Ass cheese.
Oh. I can't do it. Man, I can't get that close to that.
I'm not trying this.
That's actually pretty promising.
Best one so far?
Yeah, far and away.
My favorite thing about tasting all these wild cultures is that every little twinge in my stomach for the next day and a half, I'm terrified that we're getting sick. That might be my favorite of the day. At least most promising. I think it's got some off funk to it, but like we can work that out. Disappointingly few actually had fermentation characteristics going. I'm actually really surprised.
Really?
I figured like we'd just catch some more like sporulated cells and stuff that would like kind of take off. Like there are very few that I thought like, oh, this is yeast. 2, 3. The next step will be us now taking these samples that are good, pulling off a portion and growing them up again and trying to get some more growth going. And I think maybe a trip to Chicago's in order, and maybe we go check out our buddy Lance and Mark at Omega Yeast and get their feedback on what tastes good, what doesn't. If we're gonna make a culture worth using, we need to start isolating some specific yeasts and bacterias.
What are you guys going to find today? I mean, what are they going to tell us about these yeasts?
They're probably going to tell us we found a bunch of worthless crap.
Yeah. It's,
So when we get there at Omega Yeast Labs in Chicago, hopefully we meet with these wonderful scientists and they tell us, like, hey, we found brewer's yeast. And even more exciting would be if they found Saccharomyces pastorianus, which is lager yeast. Lager yeast from sealed up lager tunnels would be a hugely amazing find. Like, how long did you say those tunnels were sealed up for?
I think that they probably stopped using those actively in the late 1850s.
The yeast, if they sit that dormant for that long, as like since the 1850s, most of them are probably dead, but there's a chance that out of the billions or millions of cells that were down there, some of them sporulated, and that's where they basically turn, because yeast is a fungus, they turn into a spore, in short. And that is basically like the most protective form for them. And they can sit in this spore form and wait and wait and wait until they can get reintroduced with an environment that allows them to, feed and reproduce again.
So if we had that yeast, it would also be, it would be the survivor.
Yes.
It would be the king of those yeast. It would be the very best yeast from 1850 something.
If they tell us we found lager yeast, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. But I have a heart attack.
I might throw up.
Welcome to Omega Yeast. Come on in.
Thanks for having us. You ready to see some results?
Yeah, we've got some results on 3 of the isolates of the many that you guys sent. Come on in. One of them was a Saccharomyces cerevisiae.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
and actually, the same species used to brew
Ale
yeast. In
Yeah,
other words,
oh,
yes.
That's close.
Yeah.
That's good.
So that was this one.
That's
You see
exciting.
the
Holy crap.
idea of Saccharomyces.
Heck yeah. Oh,
The second one, this is it's Candida crucii, which I'd never, not that I was aware of being used to brew, but I did a little research on it, and it's actually used in chocolate making.
Oh.
So it's one of the organisms that's used to, I think, break down some of the matter around the pod. Really, some
That's
chocolate.
really useful.
oh,
Yeah.
fruit and
Yeah.
whatnot?
So some chocolate makers actually have their strains of Candida crucii that they use in their process. And then the last one, the last one is Pichia cliveri. So you can find, Pichia is a wild yeast you can find everywhere, but this one is actually used in winemaking. So we actually have these 3 strains growing in flasks right now that I haven't even smelled them yet.
Yes.
That's, you can get an early indication of whether something's interesting, putrid, whatever.
Yeah. Yes. Let's go with the first one.
Super exciting.
It is exciting. I didn't think we'd get any Saccharomyces.
Yeah.
Like, we were joking about it, like being a lotto shot of actually getting a Saccharomyces, let alone a cerevisiae or, heaven forbid, a lager yeast. But so cerevisiae is ale yeast. It's also baker's yeast. So it's this huge encompassing category of species, but there's all sorts of substrains that have wildly different flavors. English ale yeasts are different than American ale yeasts, even though they're ale yeast. So we have a ale yeast here that is unique. It has not been discovered, at least by modern science, and as far as we know, it's ours.
Yeah.
So today, you got the yeast back from Chicago, so we're finally gonna make this beer.
And we're taking our inspiration from kind of mid-1800s Cincinnati German history. So the city's just getting going, just starting to hustle and bustle, and the Germans are famous for basically birthing lagers onto the world. So we're taking all of that and we're kind of giving it the old urban artifact twist as well. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make a Hellesbock, and we're going to acidify it with our house lactobacillus that we caught here in the bell tower. And most beer back in the day was sour to some degree, whether on purpose or by accident. So what we're going to do is make that on purpose and use kind of modern science and techniques to create something that's truly Cincinnati with that lager yeast heritage, with using the yeast that we caught in these lagering tunnels, but also kind of adding that urban artifact spin to it through controlled acidification. So I guess in short, it's going to be a light-colored, super crisp, tart lager. If that makes sense.
It sounds like there's 100 things that could go wrong.
Yeah. No.
I mean, this is pretty easy.
I guess if you don't know what you're doing, you could easily mess this part up. But we got some experience now. Josh knows what he's doing.
Well, fortunately, you guys are making it, because I didn't understand any of that. So why don't you make beer, and I'm going to sweat and watch.
Well, I don't really know how you did this. I'm falling all over my own feet, I'm tripping. Oh, are you gonna catch me? I'm slipping. My life felt so different when I didn't have you, I didn't have you, I didn't have you. Oh, 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 I didn't have you, I didn't have you, I didn't have you. No, oh, oh, oh. This feeling is new. I want me and you to see it through, see it through. Well, what if I said that I wanted to date you, then what would you say? I want you forever, forever and ever, the rest of our days. Baby, I promise I won't ever get you all stuck in my ways. I know that you're on the same page, I can tell by the look on your face. Maybe this is just a little much, but all it took was just one little touch. So tell me what's up with the what's up, hey, are you gonna let me love ya? Are you gonna, are you gonna, are you gonna? Are you gonna, are you gonna, are you gonna? Are you gonna, are you gonna, are you gonna let me love ya? Let me love you down, down, down.
Hello, hello. It's 7:16, which means it's time to get started. Hopefully you've all started a little bit already anyway. I know I have had a couple of beers. It is a Friday night after all, and I'm a bit of a lush. Why else would I work at a brewery? Anyway, enough about my poor health habits. Let's talk about why we're all here, and that is the missing Linck beer. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna tap the beer. Josh is gonna knock that thing in. Hopefully it doesn't spray everywhere. And then once it's tapped, we're gonna fill these nice commemorative glasses up with beer. And Josh, please take it away.
Ready?
Yeah! This has been about a year and change in the making. It has been a long time coming, and it's been a lot of luck and just a lot of fun and a lot of curiosity satiated.
There was nobody else in the world, no other brewery in the world that I could think of that would be crazy enough to go down into a 19th century brewery and look for yeast. And these guys did it. And they weren't originally looking for 19th century brewer's yeast. They were looking for wild yeast, just something to make a beer with. And what they found was pretty remarkable. And the beer that they had made is fantastic. So my toast, verbose as it is, because I'm kind of drunk, quite frankly. Is the urban artifact and the sense of romance that these guys bring back to beer.